Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over the all-new Mercedes-Benz GLS. Before we get in this video though, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have a turbocharged 3-liter inline-6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Power outputs are 375 horsepower at 5,500 RPMs and then 369 pound-feet of torque at only 1,600 RPMs. Before we go over the front end, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. So starting with the hood, first off, you guys probably noticed from the closing sound, it has such a solid feel to it, which is just like a Mercedes-Benz thing to do. But anyways, you can see it's blue. We got the Mercedes-Benz logo there in the center. Love the headlights here on the GLS. And then the most obvious change is going to be the grille here with the GLS. You guys can see it's a completely different design. Got the Mercedes-Benz logo front and center as always though. Parking sensors here at the bottom. And putting it all together, this is a really good looking SUV in my personal opinion. Now coming around the side here, our tire wheel setup is 275, 45, 21 in the front, and then 315, 40, 21 in the rear. And you can see with the wheel design, the wheel itself looks like a star, which is really cool. Got the Mercedes-Benz logo there in the center. These are the AMG style wheels, and you do have a silver brake caliper as well. Got these nice body painted fender flares, and then the bodywork here at the bottom is also body painted. Same thing with the mirrors, but then you guys can see here, you've got silver trim all around the windows and then also on the door handles. And then taking a look at the side view here, you guys can see the scale of the GLS. And again, I just like the overall flow of the design. Now here's a quick look at the key fob. You guys can see you've got your lock and unlock function and then the opening for the hatch as well. Now taking a look at the cargo area, you guys can see we've got a cargo cover built in from the factory. We've got these controls to automatically raise and lower the second row, but you can also do the same thing with the third row as well. And you can even lower the rear end with the car just to make it so it's easier to access said cargo area. And when you're all done, just press that button, that will lower the hatch right back down. Now here's a quick look at the taillights, also really cool design. Got all of your badges here on the back, and then parking sensors here at the bottom, and then you guys can see the covers over exhaust tips. And putting it all together, let me know what you guys think about the looks of the refreshed GLS, but I think it's cool. Now taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see here how it's black at the top, then you've got some brown wood trim, and then the silver elements from stuff like the seat adjustments, and then the speakers to the sound system, but then it's cream colored down below, and so I think the contrast is really cool. And that cream color continues onto these seats, as you can see, perforated all down the center. Sorry about the lighting with that shot. Yep, we're back to barefoot reviews, but anyways, we've got good legroom back here. You got a little storage net. We've got the weirdest cup holder thing on the planet. We also happen to have some vent action back here on climate zone as well. And we even have armrests, which is pretty cool. And then last but not least, headroom's good. Now, third row room is pretty typical for the segment, kind of cramped. And you guys can see we've got some USB action. I actually have some padding back here. And these seats actually look just as nice as the second row seats, so that's all good. And then headroom back here, it's pretty good. And now taking a look at the front door panel, you guys can see soft touch here at the top. All of our wood trim. You've got your memory seat function, all of your seat adjustments. Heated and cooled seats. You can even adjust the passenger side from the driver's side. More speaker action with the Burmester sound system, which by the way, really good sound system. Blind spot mirroring with the mirrors, and then you can see the cream color down below. I like the finish on all the window controls, and then we do have power folding mirrors, so you got your mirror adjustments as well. And then here's the front seat again, perforated all down the center portion. You got some lumbar action there. Pretty cool looking pedals. And then we've got our light control here, and then you can see more of the wood trim than the black trim here on the dash. So here's a quick look at the steering wheel. You guys can see you've got the golf ball texture on the sides, so you can get a slightly better grip. And then notice it's soft here at the bottom and at the top. We do have paddle shifters here on the back for the 9-speed automatic. We've got some controls for the infotainment screen. We've got our volume controls, voice command controls, adaptive cruise control. We also have our controls here for that center gauge cluster. And speaking of said center gauge cluster, it's super customizable. I mean, you can see tons of different bits of information here in the center, but then you can also change kind of how the whole gauge looks. I think the classic view makes the most sense for the GLS being a luxury car. And then you guys can also see the average MPG right there, 23.8. And then here's a quick look at the camera system. So full 360 camera system, as you can see, and there's tons of different viewpoints here. You also have like the parking assist, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, you can see out of every single angle here with the GLS, which is great because it's a big SUV. And then as for the rest of the infotainment system, it's a touchscreen. Again, you can also control it with the steering wheel and then with this little keypad down below. But either way, it's really responsive and really easy to use. I will say the one thing that's weird about this GLS, it doesn't have massaging seats. So that's the only thing that this one I feel like is missing. And while we're on the screen, you guys can see all of the different drive modes that this comes with. I love how you have to like do an activate thing if you want to go into the off-road mode, which is kind of funny. You guys saw the soft touch here on the dash earlier, but here's kind of another look. Wood trim down below with all the vents here in the center. And then you can see our dual zone climate controls right here. And then we have this wood panel that covers up our wireless phone charging pad. We've got our cup holders as well. Some USB action right there. It's kind of hard to see because of the lighting. And then the keypad here for the infotainment system, drive mode select, and then a bunch of shortcut buttons all around. Here's kind of the ones on the other side. Got your wrist rest. This is for the suspension to adjust it up and down, as you can see. And then we got the center console, which has good storage space. Nice padding all over, and you got like ambient lighting throughout in normal Mercedes fashion. It's also across the dash as well. And while we're in this area, got pretty big glove box. And then up top, we do have a panoramic sunroof and then a headliner that matches the rest of the interior. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's your visibility over the hood, both of the mirrors, do blind spot monitoring, and then throughout the rest of the rear. And let's set off. So setting off in the GLS. I've had this vehicle for a week as a tester, and so this review is going to talk more about, or this driving portion is going to talk more about what it's like to actually live with the GLS. Now, first off, you guys can see there with the fuel range, we still have over 526 miles, not a full tank. That's one of the things that I love about this car is just how far you can go on a single tank of gas. You know, a lot of, you know, cars this size, they at least have, you know, like 400 miles of range with gas, but like this being over 500, I don't know, I feel like it kind of somewhat sets it apart. And it's just, obviously you're still paying for the gas, but it's just nice not having to stop all the time for fuel. Now the next thing is the acceleration. It's pretty dang quick, and you can hear like turbo. It's pretty cool, like how much turbo noise you can hear. It's like just a constant sucking sound when you're full throttle. It's actually pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, it's not insanely quick, but like it's more than enough power for this segment of SUV, so I think that's fine. The next thing's ride quality, really good. These 21s, right, have tires that have a little bit more sidewall compared to a lot of cars in this segment. Most cars usually have 22s and a little bit less sidewall, and I think that does help with the ride quality. But Mercedes-Benz also does a really good job with their suspension, with making it comfortable. Now, you do give up, you know, handling characteristics. I would not call this a sporty SUV at all, but again, that's not what this is about. It has S in its name, right? It's the S class of SUVs. Seat comfort's really good. Again, it's weird this doesn't have massaging seats. I feel like that should just be standard on anything that has S in its name for Mercedes. Again, if it's an S class, it's in it, right? That's just kind of my take on that. And also, I've commented on this before, but I actually like this interior more than like the full-on leather, because I've noticed that when I've reviewed these some of the used Mercedes, this one's obviously, you know, doesn't have a ton of miles on it, but I've noticed this holds up better than the leather. The leather seems to, like, you know, just, I mean, obviously you've got care for it that some people just don't do, but it just seems like it doesn't hold up as well as this. Anyways, yeah, it's so cool to hear like just the air sucking in. It's such a cool sound. So overall, I think this is a great luxury SUV. When it comes to a people hauler, again, it's just like every other SUV in this size class. The thing that confuses me about this, honestly, this is like really confusing, is people compare this for some reason to like Chevy Tahoe, Cadillac Escalade, and it's not in that size category. Like I remember in one of my GLS videos, or I think I said, I called this like crossover, and so many people got offended, but it's like, unless it's a full-size SUV, like, again, body on frame, big Cadillac, or, you know, like that kind of stuff, to me, this is a crossover. This is not an SUV, right? That's just my personal opinion. I know people are gonna be like, no, that, whatever. The point that I'm trying to make here is, this is more similar in size to like a Ford Explorer. It's a little bit bigger, but like it's more like that type of SUV rather than Chevy Tahoe level of size. It looks big and imposing on the outside, don't get me wrong, but the interior space and everything, when you look at it, I mean, Chevy Tahoe, you can fit people in the third row, adults, very comfortably. This you can't, right? This is, again, similar to when you know, Ford Explorer, Volvo XC90, all that kind of stuff. It's more similar in size to that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about the refreshed GLS, and let me know if you thought this, you know, again, it competes from a price point perspective with the Escalade, but let me know if you thought it competed from a size perspective as well.